Hello, Wonderhussy here, barreling along a dirt road in the middle of nowhere, headed towards a cabin, an old abandoned volunteer-kept cabin that I've had pinned on my map for probably at least a year. And it's not that far from where I live, just to give you a little clue. But for whatever reason, it's taken me this long to get out here and check it out. I'm headed out on a 5-week long expedition. So my car is packed to the gills with food and water and booze and supplies. And this is the very first night of my trip. I left the house kind of late. So I guess I'm going to camp here at this cabin if I can make it here with any daylight left. I made it. You wouldn't think it would be that difficult because it's a pretty straightforward road, but I was trying to get a drone shot of my rig driving up this beautiful winding dirt road through this gorgeous Joshua tree forest, and well, then the wind kicked up and I just have a little itty bitty Mavic Mini, and well, next thing you know, the drone blew away. And well, long story short, I burned about 5,000 calories running around the desert trying to find it, but I did find it. That's the good news. That's the first piece of good news. Second piece of good news is we're here at this cabin. Okay, so you're probably wondering if I feel like this humble little shack was worth waiting an entire year and almost losing my drone to visit. And well, if you know me by now, then you know that the answer is yes, it is. This looks very interesting. I mean, there's actually a door and a window. Door does have some gaps in it, so I'm guessing it's not going to be super clean inside, but you never know. Okay, it looks like it's wood framed, corrugated tin. There's a lucky horseshoe over the door, and maybe that's a brand from a nearby ranch or something. JW. Oh, look, here's a mount for an American flag. So apparently it is a volunteer cabin. You can hang a flag if you're staying here. Guess I better do that. Then there's this box mounted to the outside with a couple of real old tin cans, the kind you would have opened with a church key. Some kind of root beer, it says. Oh, white. Something with an N, root beer. White Nook root beer? Anybody ever drink White Nook root beer? See if this one. Oh, this one's totally rusted. Okay. Then there's somebody was shooting fireworks. Part of a really cool old blue glass bottle. What's this? Oh, it looks like a dog toy because it's got like a pet motif on it. Maybe it's just like a chew toy for a dog. I guess the dog chews on this part and then you pull on this part, so you can do tug of war with the dog. You know how dogs like to do. Okay, well, I guess we might as well stop beating around the bush and go inside this cabin. Are you ready? Okay, I zoomed out because it's going to be cramped in here, so it's kind of a weird fisheye effect, but here's what it looks like on the inside, and I'll be a monkey's uncle. It is very tidy in here. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Let me prop the door open with a rock so that it's not pitch black in there when we go in. So it looks like we got two platform beds pushed together, but of course you could separate those if you weren't that way. A couple of folding chairs, a really nice hearth. Look at that. It's basically like an outdoor fire pit, but they built it up with a hearth. And look at these really neat old cooking pans hanging above it. There's a little grate, some tongs. Oh my goodness. There's even a few supplies laid in. Oh gosh, it's so dark in here. I'll turn my flash on. Water. It says it was placed here in April 2010 and it's safe until April 2012. What do you suppose is in this box? Could be anything. Golf balls! Boy, that's the last thing I expected to be in that box. You never know what you're going to find at these cabins. Looks like next to the hearth on the other side, there's some reading materials. Gray's Sporting Journal. Fancy. Looks like hunting. Yeah, hunting magazines. Hunting and angling. A bunch of them. Oh, this is a nice magazine. It's like on nice, thick paper, glossy pages. That's high class. Okay, and then there's a spray bottle, a fire extinguisher just in case. With this old fire pit, you never know. I wouldn't want to burn this awesome old cabin down. There's a ladder up there, which I don't know what you would need that for. I guess if you were doing repairs to the ceiling. What is this? It looks like part of an airplane. Isn't that part of an airplane? It's fiberglass. And it's shaped like it would be one of those things mounted under the wing. Huh? That's my guess. Very lightweight. There's a really cool painting of a chukar. And there's a really cool watercolor somebody did, I guess, of this area, and there's no signature on it. That's beautiful. There's some stuff hanging on the wall here that has the name of the cabin. It's really cool. It just talks about how this is a volunteer cabin and anyone is welcome to stay here. First come, first served. It says, please stay no more than 2 nights and help keep it clean. It says there's a logbook here and don't forget to sign it. Please take all your trash, you know, the usual. And then this is interesting over here. This is just like a general list of guidelines for volunteer cabins, which is really cool. Users are encouraged to stay no more than 3 days and 2 nights, but the standard maximum limit of 14 days for public land in the California Desert Conservation Area applies. So technically you could legally stay for 2 weeks. We are responsible for taking care of the cabin and clean up after use. Take your trash with you. Blah, blah, blah. Beware of hantavirus. More or less, it basically just says, leave it better than you found it and you use at your own risk. Not a problem. I've been to many of these cabins and this one is, I think this is very cozy. And well, if I didn't have a super cozy bed in my rig, I'd consider sleeping in here. I mean, yeah, you'd have to clean it out pretty good. I mean, I'd guess nobody has stayed in here for quite some time because there's a big old pile of trash down there, and I'm gonna guess the place has rats. Warning, property of the United States. All persons are prohibited under penalty of law from molesting, destroying, or removing this property. Molesting, imagine that. And then under that, it looks like someone wrote a little poem. Land of lost content, 2 travelers heaven sent, eyes behold presence. That poem was written on May 18th, 2021, about a year ago. Oh, matchbooks. Let's see what's in here. I mean, it says matchbooks. Oh, well, there's a little this, little that. There's a deck of cards. There's some Band-Aids. Here's a business card. Roger Mitchell, outdoor feature writing and photography. Guy lives in Oakhurst, and he left this here back in 2001. Wow. Can you imagine? It's been here all this time. Yeah, there is a matchbook in here. Bank of Manhattan. Fine institution, I'm sure. DeathValley.com. Oh my goodness, look at that. What a URL. He must have got that a long time ago. Randy Banis, based out of Lancaster. Well, good for you, Randy. Scored with that. I wonder if he ended up selling it. You know how people buy those domain names and just kind of squat on them until somebody really wants it and then they charge them an arm and a leg? That actually happened to me one time. Me and my sister, way back before I started a YouTube channel, my sister and I were going to start a kind of like a blog of the 2 of us exploring the desert because we used to go camping and exploring a lot. And so we were trying to come up with a good name. And well, I bought a couple domain names, but she didn't like them. One of them was Las Vegas Outdoor Adventures, because I thought, oh, we can do a blog about like cool outdoorsy stuff within an hour or 2 of Vegas, because, you know, there's your captive audience right there. Well, she goes, nah, that's too long and cumbersome of a name, Las Vegas Outdoor Adventures, blah, blah. Okay, so we never used it, but I still had the domain name, and one day somebody called me wanting to buy it, and I was like, oh gosh, what do I do? How much do I ask for? I had no idea. So I asked my sis, you know, she's pretty business-minded, and she goes, oh, I don't know, $300? So I did. I go, well, about $300. And they go, okay, sure. And they gave me the money and I sold it to them. But come to find out, everybody I talked to, you should have started at 10,000 if the guy really wanted it. Well, I don't know how bad he wanted it and whatever. I wasn't using it. And I don't know. Basically, don't rain on my parade. I made $300 and I was feeling pretty proud of myself until all the haters chimed in. Anyways, I seriously don't have time for these digressions because it's getting dark, man. It's getting dark. Too dark to see. Feels like I'm knocking on heaven's door. Oh, here's the logbook. I'm going to save that for later. I'll sign that when I leave. Here's another Rubbermaid bin underneath. Let's see what's in here. It says nuts, bolts, screws, etc. And let's see. That's pretty much exactly what's in here. Some hardware. Legacy strains, indoor grown. Oh, it was a pack of joints. I got really excited. I thought it might still be full of joints. Oh my God. Wouldn't that have been amazing? Unfortunately, it's just full of matches, which would be useful to light a joint, but I don't have a joint. Put that back on the shelf here. We got one lonely little fork. Here's a jug of water that says, oh gosh, I don't know if you can even read it. Opened October 2021. So that's only about 7-8 months ago. That water would be okay if you needed it. There's just some odds and ends you might need. Reading glasses, shotgun shells, a teacup, and a condom. Boy, talk about poetry. And then up behind it, there's sort of like a piece of art somebody made. It looks like it says Oak Ridge Outlaws. Oh, look at this. Up right above it, some dude Wild Bill, 1978. Can you imagine some guy came up here and wrote his name here in 1978? Boy, can you imagine what this place would have been like in 1978? Well, here's what's really cool about this place. This place was probably exactly the same in 1978. Nothing has changed out here since 1978. It's all Joshua trees and beautiful granite boulders and this funky old cabin. Okay, let's go back in this funky old cabin and finish poking around. And then I gotta like fix some stuff up in my car before it gets dark. Okay, down below on this shelf we have a really nice little teacup with a picture in it. Oh my goodness, look. Oh no, lost October 4th, 2021, Upper Spring. Oh no! Oh no! That's that chew toy that we just saw! Oh no! Oh no! You know what happened? Somebody came up here camping with their dog, and I guess they went hiking. There must be some spring you can go hike to. And the dog ran off, and the owner never found him. And golly, that was October 21. It's probably the same guy who left that bottle of water, opened that water. How many months ago is that? It's June 4th. That was October 4th. What is that? 8 months ago. Oh, I don't know if this little fella is still out there. You know, the one thing I can say is we're not that far, relatively speaking, from a real funky small town. So maybe the dog made his way to that town and somebody in that town is looking out for him. Hey, all I'm going to say is, I don't want to give away the location of this cabin, but if anybody who lives in Darwin is watching this video, I mean, if you recognize this dog, it's a lost dog. There's no name on it or phone number, but contact me and maybe we'll get him back to his owner. Okay, well, golly, that's one of the saddest things I ever found in one of these cabins. That's right up there with the ashes of that dog that were in that can on top of the striped butte in Butte Valley. Okay, here's a blade from an old knife. Here's that one lonely paperback. Usually there's a bunch of books in these places, but, well, if you don't want to read those hunting magazines, they do have a copy of The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. Never read it myself. It's like a romantic thing. There's a dog bowl here, and I hope it's not that poor lost dog's dog bowl. And then there's like a rag stuffed in an old Quaker Oats cup. There's a bunch of papers here. I don't know why you wouldn't just sign the logbook, but it looks like people are signing these papers instead of the logbook. And this guy here was here May 2nd. So about a month ago. Oh, so somebody was here just a month ago. Well, I guess he probably just stopped in and didn't stay the night. Because, I mean, if I stayed the night, and like I said, I would stay the night in here, especially if it was real windy or cold or whatever. I didn't have a cozy bed in a car to sleep in. I would... If you watch that video I made called Embracing the Suck, where my friend and I backpacked up to Sespe Hot Springs, and it was real rainy and crappy, and I ended up having to sleep in this really crusty shack, which had even worse garbage in it, including a used maxi pad. Well, we cleaned that out, and I slept in that shack, in a tent, in the shack. But if I slept in that, I could definitely clean this out. I don't see oh, there is a broom. Yeah, there's 2 brooms over here. Or at least there's 1 broom. I'm not sure. This might be a rake or something, or I don't know. It feels like just a stick with a sheet wrapped around it. I'm not sure what that's used for, but it's kind of scary. Whatever the case, you could use that to clean this place out. Get a fire going in there. It'd be real toasty. Okay, you know what? It's getting too dark. I'm just going to go ahead and get my camp set up. And I'll come back here in the morning and look through the logbook and, you know, see if there's anything else that we missed. I'm sure there's probably some more interesting graffiti on the walls that I can't see because it's too dark. Unfortunately, I don't see an American flag here, so I don't know what I would hang on that pole out front to indicate. Oh, maybe that's what's on this stick. I don't know why you would store the American flag like this, though. Could this be a flag? Oh, maybe there is no flag. And oh, it's a flag. This is the flag. It's like a surrender flag. Oh, gosh. Well, okay. I'll stick it in the friggin' flag holder. Well, the Ruskies can come get me now. I've put the white flag up. I've surrendered. There will be no white flag above my door. I'm in love and always will be. Okay, well, I don't even want to start looking through this bin now. I know how I am. I'll never, ever close it. So I'm just going to close the door to the cabin so that no creepy critters get in there overnight, aside from what can fit through this crack in the side anyways. And I'm just going to go ahead and situate my own camp. I mean, like I said, I'm on a 5-week expedition, so I'm traveling with a ton of stuff, and I need to rearrange a few things so that I can make myself some dinner and just sit back and enjoy this amazing view. Actually, before I get started with that, let me just do a quick panorama for you guys so you can hopefully get an idea of the astounding beauty that surrounds me right now. Okay, I'm gonna climb up on this rock so I have an even better vantage point. Okay. All right, so there's the cabin, kind of nestled at the base of these mountains here, and I think there's some stuff up higher to go hike and explore in the morning. But here we go, look. Look at this beautiful Joshua Tree Forest sunset. Sky's kind of pink over there in the west where the sun's just going down. And there's a sort of peaceful hush over the desert. There's a kind of hush all over the world tonight. All over the world you can hear the sound of nothing at all. You know what I mean, just the two of us and nobody else inside. All over the world, people just like us are feeling all right, or however it goes. Pooh! Man, I'm pooped. It took me forever to get the interior of my car semi-organized. I'm sort of new to traveling with this 12-volt refrigerator, and well, I'm gonna be gone for like 35 days, 36 days, so I had, I have a lot of food and a lot of stuff with me. But I finally got everything situated. My bed's ready. I'm just gonna eat this delicious dinner I made, which is my usual specialty that I call beans and bullshit. It's basically beans and rice and lettuce, power greens, arugula, pico de gallo, corn, avocado, sriracha, lime juice. I mean, I brought a ton of veggies, fresh veggies. I'm trying to eat healthier, and now that I have this refrigerator, well, I might as well. But it just about took everything I had to make dinner and get my car situated. So I'm just gonna eat and pass out, and I'll go check out the rest of this cabin in the morning. Okay, good morning. As promised, it's the next morning, and now I'm gonna go look back in this cabin and see what kinds of stuff I missed in the dim dusk of twilight. To be honest, I don't think we actually did really miss anything. I've already been in here. Obviously, the door's open. I went ahead and hung up an American flag in here. I hope that's okay. I would have mounted it to the broomstick instead of this surrender flag that we currently have going on, but well, there's no mounting hardware and it just seemed complicated. So I thought like, oh well, should I just fold the flag up and leave it on the table, then the next person can figure out a way to hang it? And I thought, oh golly, I'm overthinking this. I'm just gonna hang it on the wall, and the next person who comes here, if they want to, can pretty easily affix it to that broomstick with, I don't know. Well, the thing is, like, if you use zip ties or something like that, then you won't be able to take it off. So I felt it was problematic. That's why I just left it hanging on the wall, and I hope that's okay. So in the spirit of leaving it better than I found it, that's pretty much what I did. I did tidy up a little bit elsewhere in the cabin, but there really wasn't a whole lot to do. I mean, it was already pretty tidy. And then, of course, I did leave a note in the quote-unquote logbook. It's really just this O'Reilly Auto Parts notepad. I wrote 6/3/22. It was the 3rd of June, another sleepy, dusty desert day. Because you know I can never let the 3rd of June, which today is, pass without thinking of that amazing Bobby Gentry song, remember? The day Billy Joe McAllister jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Love that song. Love Bobby Gentry, so that was just a little reference to that. Anyway, then I wrote, very cool cabin and beautiful area, hung up a flag, hope that's okay. Thank you everyone for not trashing this place. Wonderhussy. P.S. Sorry to hear about Gunner. Did not see any evidence that he'd been here. Hope he's okay. Okay, so now you're probably wondering, who is Gunner and what happened to him? Well, from reading these notes, I figured out the whole backstory behind this lost dog, and it's a doozy. Okay, our story begins a few visitors ago. Asking for help. Lost dog on October 4th, 2021 at Upper Spring. He took off after a horse. His name is Gunner. His collar with info on it Oh, has collar with info on it. Also a blaze orange collar. He's a 5-year-old German short hair pointer, white and liver color, very friendly, but most likely scared at this time. If seen or heard, please call John. And then he has his number down here, which I'm going to keep hidden out of respect for him so he doesn't get a bunch of prank calls. But if anybody does have the dog, email me and I'll get in touch with him. And then he goes on to say, P.S. left some personal items behind hoping to draw him in. We stayed until October 7th, 2021. So they stayed here 3 days waiting for the dog. You know, waiting for the dog to come back. And that's really sad. I mean, I guess that's what he meant by left some personal items behind this thing. Oh, this is Gunner's chew toy. He has it in that Polaroid. Remember the Polaroid we looked at last night? He's holding that same chew toy. This is a terrible story. Now, I feel bad for them that they lost their dog, but there's another note in here that does kind of make a good point. Although I did feel like it came across as slightly judgy. Let me see. Oh, so this. I think he left this thing pointing at the note about the lost dog. This is why we're required to keep our dogs on a leash in wilderness areas. These people thought the rules didn't apply to them, and now Gunner's a goner. Okay, I don't know. That just seems kind of needlessly shamey. You know what I mean? Like, okay, yes, it's true. You're not supposed to leave your dogs off leash in a wilderness area, so they don't take off after horses or wildlife. And, well, Gunner's owner learned that lesson the hard way. But I don't know. I just felt like it was kind of the way that person wrote it was a little bit salty. Whatever you think, it's a sad situation. Like I said, if you've seen this dog and you're in the area, let me know, because I've got the owner's phone number. Anyway, then I also looked through, there's old logbooks in here that go back really far. Like, this one here goes all the way back to, well, you can hardly even read it, but 1984. And there's some pretty cool entries in here. I mean, they're hard to read because oh my god, I just happened to notice he goes on and on about the NRA. We aren't doing so badly now with a president who is a lifetime member of NRA, and Governor Duke Majan is on our side too. However, Mayor Bradley of LA. Oh gosh, he's ranting about gun rights. That's wild, man. Excuse me, I guess maybe I shouldn't have said ranting, but he's certainly going on and on about gun stuff in this cabin logbook, which I think is kind of interesting. Back in 1984. It's like I always say when I read these old newspapers and old logbooks. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Anyway, after he finishes talking about guns, he says, I first camped here in '67 and have camped here occasionally on and off since then. In '76, I installed the bunk. In '77, he covered the window. So this guy did a lot of work on this cabin. And there's entries in here going all the way up from 84 through, oh gosh, I think this book, look, there's 86. We came here to hunt chucker, didn't see shit. I guess that's why there's all those hunting magazines here. This is a place where people come and hunt these chukars. I don't know. I guess they're good to eat. I'm not sure otherwise why you would kill them, but that is apparently what people do out here. I'm not sure how that works if it's a wilderness area. Are you still allowed to hunt? Anyway, these entries go all the way up to, well, there's 89, 93, and then this book ran out, and so that's when they started the well, I think they started another notebook. I don't know. I went through all these notebooks. There wasn't anything super interesting in there, but, well, there's one entry here that I thought was kind of cool. And this one is from 2018. He goes, we stumbled upon this little treasure by accident wandering through the desert. Made camp and dropped acid around 4 p.m. Okay, slipped into the canyon and got lost in a dream of juniper and sage. Made it to Upper Centennial Springs and then hiked overland on the way back. Made it to the hut just before sundown and watched the mountains slip into darkness from yonder ridge. Built a small fire outside and slept under the stars, as there was a lot of mouse droppings on the beds. Making tracks for Lone Pine. This is a beautiful and special place. And then it's signed, 2 boys from the Old Dominion, James and Alex from Crozet, Virginia. From the Old Dominion, dropping acid in a Mojave Desert cabin. Imagine that. Those guys get around. I love that. I thought it sounded fun to me. I mean, I'm not one for acid personally, but I can totally imagine how amazing that experience must have been. Okay, well, there's a lot of entries in these logbooks talking about this upper spring. And matter of fact, there's a lot of entries in this logbook talking about petroglyphs being at this lower spring. So I figure it's still pretty early. I have time to... I like how I looked at my wrist. I'm not even wearing a watch. It's still pretty early. I have time. I'm going to go hike down to the lower spring and see if I can find the petroglyphs. And then I think it's about a 2-mile hike to the upper spring, and it looks like the trailhead's over there. So I might as well go try to find that too, because I think there might be another cabin up there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take down the white flag of surrender and put it back in the corner where I found it. And I'm gonna go ahead and close up the cabin. And I guess I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video because I don't want it to be too long. If I go checking out all this other stuff, well, that stuff might be worthy of its own separate video. So if you're interested in seeing what's at the lower spring and the upper spring, well, you'll just have to tune in next time. See you then.